Greetings, everybody. Thank you for firing up this video today. Following is an interview between me and two guys from Involve Audio, a company that I'm very excited about. You've heard me talk about them a lot over the last year or so, and then particularly in the last few months, the last few videos. I really am in love with their Surround Master version 3, the SMV3, and lately I've been evaluating their Amp Master, a tiny 6-channel amp that has the same profile as the Surround Master. I've wanted to talk to these guys for quite some time because I see them as innovators and a company that is fulfilling wishes and needs for the surround music lovers community. And I'm excited about them, and I hope to excite many of you about them as well. So I'm going to be linking to their product pages, and I'm going to be showing, still images of their products while we're talking. So yeah, I'm really excited about these guys. They have some products that I think people should be interested in right now, and they're also developing more. More is on the way. So I want everyone to become aware of them and help support them however you see fit. And speaking of support, if you appreciate what this channel does, don't forget to like videos, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the notification bell if you haven't already, leave comments, and share these videos and talk about life and surround wherever you hang out and talk about music. All right? It's all greatly appreciated. And without further fuss, let's get on to the interview. Anyway, so Surround Master, I've just been in love with it. And then when I heard that Involve Audio actually makes like other products, like amplifiers and speakers, it's really just become quite intriguing for me. And I've now listened through a number of my absolute favorite surround recordings through the Amp Master. I've talked about it in the last several videos. It's, this tiny, tiny, tiny Class D 6-channel amp. And we wouldn't be having this conversation if I didn't really love it. So
To start with, I'd just like to rewind a little bit further back, actually, to where I actually came from an audio perspective. That I've always been a quaddie way back in the 70s, and I am that old. That my very first quad experience would have been walking to a friend's house whose dad had a quadraphonic system, and it was the old Hafner Dynaco left minus right subtract wiring trick for the rear. And I was wowed by that. I couldn't believe the hidden stuff that was actually there and all the ambience and whatever. It really amazed me. And that stuck with me for many years. But being a poor boy, as they say, I didn't have the funds to buy hi-fi at all or whatever. I built my first turntable by my hand, would you believe? Um, just to get it all going. And so along the way became an absolute hi-fi nut. And quad died, as you know, in the by about 1980, and stereo was the thing, and that was what I had for many years. And eventually, as you know, Dolby came along mid 80s and tried that, and it sucked. I built I built my first Dolby system myself by hand. Got the chips and built it, and was really disappointed. It was just a mess. So I went straight back to stereo for many years. Whilst being a hi-fi nut, was out of it for many years. But then, to tell the absolute truth, I had a manufacturing company in the mid '90s, and I was on a Christmas holiday weekend, and I was pondering the coming death of the electronics industry in Australia, of where to go to next. And I, found some interesting articles by a guy called Rob McKinlay in West Australia, who's developing stuff on electrostatic speakers. And I thought, gee, that's interesting. And it's only going to take me a year or two to um, work on that and develop a product. And this could be a value-added product in the electronics industry in Australia. And that year or two turned out to be 25 years. I totally got the timing wrong, but I got the timing right in terms of the death of the electronics industry in Australia. It died a horrible death about 1980. where everything pulled out of Australia. Australia, we're good at sheep and we're good at rocks. It's very Fred Flintstone economy. We don't do technology, and so it's a very hard place to be in Australia. And so that's where the hi-fi reconnection started to happen from the mid-90s, where we developed a whole bunch of electrostatic speakers and whatnot, giving you a very quick sort of summary where it's all come from. And then, Dave and me, we formed a company called Immersion PLC, which is a publicly listed company in London. And we raised a lot of money to finance this electrostatic speaker we designed for Nakamichi, who then went broke. But during that whole experience, I started to think about, well, we're going to go broke soon. What's the next step? And you see, it's been a very financial. You might think I'm a purist audio type. Yes, I am. I'm a purist audio nut, but I'm also a practical guy that I have to keep the business going. And so this came from business decision, value added, do something different. And that's the flavor that we're sort of running with very much, because you touched on why we're making these small amplifiers and small stuff. Well, it's different. It probably comes from a trip in the Philippines, no, in Singapore, where my business partner Dawson, we bought a bloody big Pioneer monster surround sound amplifier weighing 40 kilograms, which I just over there actually, which I had to lug through Singapore streets for half a kilometre, and nobody else would help me. But so we got this great giant lump, and yet this new amplifier we're doing is just as powerful, and it's portable. You can just fling it around. So the real answer is it's different. And we don't like doing same old, same old. And surround sound, that came out of many things. There was two-edged. One was the encode decode process that we do for Involve Audio for surround sound. That very much stemmed from the Hafner Dynaco days of that left minus right subtract. But also stemmed strongly from a recollection I had that I was listening to Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Center of the Earth, second side, and there's a guitar which went on headphones because I couldn't afford speakers. I had headphones, and the bloody guitar went behind my head. I was like, shit, how did that happen? And so that thought has always been in the back of my mind, how to decode surround from two channels. We've got two ears. How do we perceive around our heads and stuff? And Dave's done a lot of work on that, by the way. And so this whole question of where we went to in surround stemmed to from that. But I entered into a period of deep thought for 2 years, and I literally mean 2 years, trying to work out Involve Audio. How do we decode surround? And it came back to, I couldn't beat the maths that Sansui did, what Takahashi did, I should say. What could we add to it? And when I went really deeply into it, what that we could add to it was psychoacoustics, in terms of how our brain listens to things, how we weight things, and how we balance one sound up against another, and that sort of stuff. But prior to becoming an electrical electronic engineer, I actually did a year of psychology, and so that sort of stemmed into those sort of thoughts. And that's really where the core of Involve Audio started around about 2007, Dave, 2008.
Yeah, 2007. Yeah, 2007.
So by that point, you've got some electrostatics involved.
We had electrostatics way before that. Yeah, and so Involve Audio stemmed from that rather messy period of time. And Dave and me and another guy called Kerry, we built up initial prototypes, what would become the Surround Master in pure analog. And it was a very complicated, hundreds of ICs, shall we say. And
I'll probably send you a photo of it, actually, at some point.
Yeah, you have to, Dave. And bloody thing worked. And at that point, we said, shit, we got something that we can go on with here. And because we needed a new boat to jump to. And
right.
And fortunately, I found some investors who could invest into this concept, who are now my business partners. And But simultaneously in that whole 2-year period of deep thought, and involved was a case of just hard yakka. I knew which way we were going. I knew the maths. I knew a whole bunch of things. But then, how do we do this? How do we implement it? And then over to Dave. Dave had to convert this into software and DSP and stuff, and that was a hell of a process that David wanted to talk about in a second. But simultaneously in this 2-year period, there was another thing in the back of my mind. There were two things that really sucked about surround sound in general. One was the whole cross compatibility issue. Back in the days of quad, we had SQQS, RM, CD4, and bunches of other formats and ambiosonics and whatever.
Right. I'm trying to mess with several of them.
Yeah, but
this
what
day and
killed
age.
it was lack of uniformity of format, and ultimately speaking, the winner over all these years has been something called stereo. 2 channels is still the market winner out there. Most of the stuff out there is transmitted in stereo, and so
Right.
any media that we work with, I think, has to come from stereo. So this whole question of how to record essentially stereo, but with the surround in it, was a puzzle, and we only worked that out after it involved decoder. We worked out the decoder first, and we then later on worked out how to encode. That was a puzzle to us also. But during that whole period, which was a 2-year thinking period, I was also puzzling about this whole thing that bugged me the whole time about surround sound, and that's called the center channel. It bothered me because it doesn't sound right to me, and I've always said that. I don't like the fact that the center channel speaker is under the TV.
Right.
It puts a separation in height between the visual image and the sonic image, but also the wife doesn't like it, and it's another lump you have to put in the room. And so I was always thinking, how the hell can we get rid of this? And it was just a mystery to me. And I was thinking, just literally dumbass thinking for 2 years. And one day I was on a bike ride, and in between a bike crash and which I've had many. You're looking at a person with 23 broken bones due to bike riding, and a phone call from an idiot lawyer. I had Bing. It just came to me like in a flash. It was so simple. And David and me, we mocked it up with mechanical delays, just moving speakers in a room, just physically positioning them to what we thought might work. And guess what? It worked straight off. We thought, oh shit, this is so simple. And so that became 2 streams of patents that we worked on. We've got, and that defines our difference. So between that, the encode, decode, and the fact that we have this technology where literally you can sit anywhere in the room. You don't care where you sit. You don't care if you're left, right, center. You guys haven't at the moment haven't got that in America. You're about to get 2 places in America where it's got that. But you can sit. You can, and you don't care where you sit. You can sit in the left of the room, right of the room, middle of the room. I did a demo in a country town near Melbourne, here in Melbourne, called Geelong, at a hi-fi place a while ago, and we had I think 5 or 6 people in the room, all left, right, randomly around the room.
Yeah.
And I said, close your eyes, and we had the involved system, just 2 speakers, left, right. I said, close your eyes, everybody, point to where the vocalist is. And they all pointed to the middle of the room. So the guys in the left pointed to the middle, and the guys on the right, and they all got it right.
Now, what in device in particular manages that?
You guys don't have it. It's two things. It's an electronic. It's electronics and mechanics. You've got to combine the 2 things to do it. It's changes to the speaker. In fact, each speaker becomes 2 speakers separately amplified, and it's changes to the electronics. And so the Y4 system, which is one of our products that we're pushing shortly,
Yeah, I've seen that on the website. I
you
thought.
have to do 4 speakers around the room, and it's got 2 woofers in there too. It's actually 10 amplifiers, and the Y4 box is 10 Class D 120 watt per channel amplifiers. Same amplifiers, in fact, it's inside the
Amp Master.
The Amp Master right now and Dave developed all that. But that Y4 has got 10 of those amplifiers inside it. which, if you believe that, and times 120 watts each, and it's real. And that powers it right down to 2 ohm loads. But to do this sit anywhere trick with just 4 speakers, believe it or not, you need 10 amplifiers or 8 amplifiers plus your woofers.
What's on my mind is, I've spent the last several days intensively listening to stuff through this tiny little box, same form factor as the Surround Master. And believe me, I know plenty of people who don't like big audio gear. It's heavy. It's hard to move it if you need to change wiring. They don't want to keep creating space for it. So I'm all about, like, I get that it's portable, that it's light, that it's small. Totally cool. I just never really. I'm just so astounded by it. It's as small as some like headphone amps that I've seen. So
How's the sound been? It's been okay?
yeah. So the other day I did a final review listening to the new Marillion 5.1 mix. Stephen W. Taylor, Holidays in Eden, and I had really just a mind-blowing experience. The mix was wonderful, mastering was pretty good, and just the surround activity was amazing. And not at any point in time did I sit and ask myself, like, what kind of amp am I listening through? Or, is there some distortion there or whatever? Like, everything sounded crystal clear, exactly how my brain would hope it would. It was just an elevating, revelatory musical experience. And when I got done with that listen, and I've also listened to, Bohemian Rhapsody and some other, really famous 5.1 cuts, to just stuff that I'm very familiar with. And it simply sounds to me like it ought to. And I know that you had mentioned earlier about the need to, properly power a system, to have ample power. But then there's also like a musical quality to amplifiers. I'm very pleased with how this sounds, and that's just. I'm looking at it. It's right over there. It's just so astounding. So like I'm intrigued from like a make things smaller, make things easier to handle technological perspective, but then also just the musical perspective.
What you're saying there, though, you've asked me in the past how should you test amplifiers, and you've just done it. My golden rule in hi-fi overall is I've got a few golden rules, but one of which is if you get a headache, it's no good. Um, the minute you've been listening to something for, say, an hour or whatever, or 5 minutes to an hour, 2 hours, if you start to get listener fatigue, there's something wrong about it. And that's really what separates, I think, a good amplifier from a bad one. It's one of the big factors. Dave, what do you say to that?
Usually if I get asked, what sounds good, my response is always going to be, well, listen to it. I mean, it's a subjective medium, subjective arts. The technology, there are enough subtle differences between speakers and amplifiers and so on that, what you're going to like there is subjective as well. Don't ask me what you like. The best we can do is apply, our collective knowledge and thoughts and our philosophy on design, and come up with what we think sounds fantastic, and then hope other people do too, and try not to like we've really tried to go for. I think I'd characterize our if we were going to characterize our sound, it would be that you forget that we're there. Basically, it's like you listen to the Surround Master for the first time, it's like, holy shit, there's stuff everywhere. But then after you've had it on for a couple of days, you forget that it's on. And you forget that it's there, and you're just enjoying it. And then you plug in the amplifier as it is, and I'm not sure if clinical is the right word. It does have a little bit of a warmth to it, but it's very musical. But it doesn't mess with the sound. And after you turn it on, you listen to it, and you forget what you're listening to. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not even thinking about what the equipment is. I'm just enjoying the music itself. I think that's probably where our philosophy comes from.
Also, the amplifier is a bit like a valve amplifier in regard to the soft clipping. You want to go there, Dave?
Please.
In a minute. I was just gonna lead up to like the last, I want to say 5-6 years. We've had a couple of attempts at I don't want to say going large, but investors, people looking at getting involved with and so on. Pardon the pun. Where for whatever reason, and I say without a shred of irony, never our fault, for whatever reason they don't go ahead, and we found ourselves sort of in a position where it's like we've got all this technology, and now it seems like it's down to us to do something with it. What can we do with it? And we already had the Surround Master, and it was compact and in a size. It's like, well, what else can we do in that market? Because a lot of the feedback we got was, hey, it's such a small little unit, but it decodes quadraphonic. It's sort of the distinction between that and some of the vintage equipment, the big quad decoders of yore.
Massive.
Exactly. And it's like, hey, you guys are tiny and you sound better, and it just sits on my shelf out of the way. It's like, okay, well, we're onto something there in terms of design philosophy. And while we were doing a design project, sort of in conjunction with someone, we were looking for a solution and came across this Class D technology, and Class D, like the idea of it's been around forever. Like the
Sure.
ICE power amps in 2005 and 6. The boards are about this big and heat sinks about this big, but since then it's all come down, become more efficient and more compact and more powerful. And we were like, okay, well, let's try it in this product. We'll do it in stereo. See what it sounds like. Okay, this works. How many of these can we fit into a box? And we if you're going to entertain a 5.1 system, really your minimum is 6. So can we fit 6 of these in a box? And sort of Charlie asked, I was like, okay, well, can I fit it there? It's like, well, yeah, if we do it in 2 boards and just put it this way. And I was like, yeah, okay. So put it together, and it seemed to fit. Like the technology, the power, and the design philosophy of the size all seemed to fit really well. That kind of became a forward direction for us. It's like, okay, we're onto something here. It's compact, it's powerful, it's not really sacrificing anything for the size. So what else can we do? It's like, okay, well, we want to. What else does the industry need? What's happening? Well, what's making a comeback? Vinyl, in a big way. Right now, I don't know if you've seen the big collector's item at the moment is cassette tapes. Is becoming the new, the retro gold, and VHS, like magnetic tape. God knows, but okay, sure.
Hey Dave.
So what does that need?
Hey Dave.
Yes,
hey Dave.
Charles.
I
Yes,
told
Charles.
you so. I told you so about cassettes.
Yeah,
I like cassettes.
that would make sense if the people buying them had the equipment you had at the time. But
yeah.
but what do you need in order to improve the experience of listening to vinyl, listening to audio? Well, tape. Well, you need noise reduction, you need click reduction, and you can do that. You can pull up Audacity and run it through a filter, but
Sure.
very few people were doing it in real time. And okay, well, what do we need in terms of inputs? Okay, moving magnet or moving coils? Like, well, no, I mean, it could be one or the other. Why not both? I mean, but people like optical. Okay, we have an optical input. Sure, it's like I find myself needing more than one optical input. Okay, we'll put 2 on there. It's like, how much can we fit into this small box in terms of? We're not going to try and make the box any bigger, but we're going to put all the essential technology that you want for a preamp, and then just keep adding to it till it's full. Do we need Bluetooth? Well, yes, people are going to want Bluetooth. Whether or not that's the right listening decision is not up to us. In the end, it's what people are going to want, and a lot of people are going to want Bluetooth. So then, okay, so we've got our forward direction. We've got the compact surround decoder. We've got the compact amplifier. We've got the compact preamp. What can we do with our speakers to make it part of this modular system? Okay, we've got the electrostatics. Can we make them in a bookshelf size? Sure. What about the driving electronics? Can we fit that in the same box, or the same profile? Turns out, yes, we can. And so now we've got this forward direction, from the Surround Master version 2 about a year and a half ago, heading forwards all the way to the end of the product line. The end of this year, we'll have a complete setup which you can buy in pieces if you want, or just get the part you want. Like the amplifier, I'm sure would be useful as a drop-in replacement for a lot of people. But then if you want to start from scratch, okay, I want surround sound, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know, do I want Dolby, DTS, whatever? No, we're trying to democratize that. It's like, no, just put stereo in, get surround out. It'll wow you. It's great. Okay, so I need an amplifier. Do I get this huge thing or this heavy thing, or do I get the thing that has THD of 0.001% and put it through speakers that have 5% distortion? And it's like, no, you've already lost the customer at that point. Or so what we've ended up with is something that's incredible. Like, this range is our direction. It's incredibly simple set of building blocks that are not, you don't need a physics degree to operate it, and yet still caters to the enthusiast grades quality or surround sound or the prosumer, as well as being just for the everyman. That's where we ended up.
Hey,
That's where we are now.
So like I said, for quite some time, I've sat with the Surround Master. I love it, love it, love it. I run matrix encoded CDs, LPs through it, stereo sources. I have fun seeing like how much stuff it can kind of, spread out. Different albums behave differently depending on the phasing and reverbs and stuff, I'm sure.
And the recording environment.
I've been just loving the Amp Master. I'm aware that you have some kind of a preamp, vinyl oriented that removes pops and clicks and stuff, and I'm super curious about that.
Getting there.
That you have a speaker line and stuff. So I'm just happy that viewers are going to have a chance to know that you guys are there and to get interested in it. I can definitely vouch for the Surround Master. I can vouch for the Amp Master. I'm not sure how soon I'll really be inclined to turn on my massive, AB 4-channel amp. To me, the sound, it's transparent. I love them both. I don't love humping around super heavy stuff. I'm gonna obviously link, to your website, and people can go and scroll through these products and read for them. But I wanted them to hear it from the guys that have invented it. To see a need in the market, and then just to apply your creativity and to take all the risk and all the frustration and all that. I sure appreciate it, and I know that you have a lot of fans out there who are particularly in love with the Surround Master, and like with me in the last several months and weeks, to become aware that there's actually a lot more to you guys than just the Surround Master.
We hope so. Yeah, just briefly in the 4 minutes we got or so, our real push as a company, though, is also angled towards bringing back stereo as the common medium. That surround sound can be fully transmitted and moved around by stereo. It's a much simpler thing. Everybody understands stereo. We can decode it, and it's very transparent. On ABs compared to discrete, nobody can pick the difference. So why don't we have stereo as the common container? And that's one point I'd like to make, and that's where we're really pushing our studio encode thing is something very large on our list, and we're working towards it.
And I know on my Surround Master it has the Involve Audio setting. It can do quad or 5.1.
Involve Audio is very similar to QS in its nature.
Yeah.
Its addition, if you will, is the psychoacoustic decoding factors we put in there. But likewise, we have a separate encode format, which is stereo. But it's the first encoder that's actually a variomatrix encoder that incorporates psychoacoustic factors in the encode, which basically means that the stereo sounds exactly like stereo, not compressed anymore. And the resultant surround is very surround. There's no losers, is what we're trying to say. There's no losers in that thing.
Nice.
The other rule I have on audio and hi-fi in general, and this applies to speakers more than anything else, if you're sitting there listening to music, when you've got it really good and the speakers disappear, that you can look at these bloody speakers left and right, and you can say, there is no way in the known universe that the sound is coming out of those two boxes.
Yeah.
At that point, you've got something good. If you can say, oh, that's where the music is, no, it's no good. What do you say, Dave?
I don't disagree.
Yeah. That's really where we.
That's a safe philosophy, Dave. Just don't disagree.
Very safe. Yeah, I don't disagree in that case. Well, I mean, I deal with it every day at my desk. If I'm sitting there and I've got the music on, or whatever, I'm not even paying attention to where the sound's coming from anymore. It's just, there's the vocalist, there's the thing, there's the guitar. Occasionally, something will come from directly behind me, and I don't know if you can see directly behind me, there are no speakers.
Right.
So yeah, it still surprises me even after 15 years. So yeah.
Mm.
Well, hey, I've enjoyed talking with you guys. I hope that you know the intended message hits viewers. That you guys are there. I've been loving listening to quad and 5.1 and stereo up mixes and all kinds of stuff through your gear, and just want as many people as possible to know about it. I'll link your site. And any final thoughts for viewers?
Oh, we love to hear from you, and we'd love to get feedback from everybody out there. Feel free to email us and chat. Unlike most companies, you can talk directly to us at any stage.
And we
we're
love,
very
look, more than happy to deep dive on any questions about the tech or anything. We could literally talk about it for days at this point.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So appreciate it, and I simply look forward to whatever is coming next. And as I know, many listeners are. So thanks for what you do.
We're stalking you too.
Okay. Hey, I always appreciate a good stalker.
Yeah, that's all right.
Thanks, Mike.
All
Thanks,
right,
Mike.
guys.
See ya.
Have a wonderful day.
Cheers,
Bye,
man.
Mike.
Cheers.